Welcome all my ODSTs, it's Perplexality here to bring you the last chapter of The Art of War, chapter 13, entitled The Use of Spies. Now, Sun Tzu said that this is probably arguably the most important chapter of the whole book. Now, a lot of it doesn't apply to Halo 4, unfortunately, but it is very important to kind of read, and there are 5 lines in here that I want to pick out, and I just want to elaborate my own personal feelings on that and how they can sort of relate to Halo based on what this chapter says. Now, why is the use of spies important? Now, the use of spies really is equivalent to the gaining and gathering of information in warfare. It's the ability to know enemy positions, enemy intentions, where they're going, where they are, and hopefully what they have and their current abilities on the map. So it's very important to gather that information ahead of time. This is actually a clan battle, so ahead of time of the clan battle we were actually scoping out the enemy players, seeing what their strengths are, and throughout this whole clan battle we're also giving callouts to let each other know the position of enemy players and stuff like that. So it's very important to use that to predict enemy movements, because without knowing enemy movements and being able to predict that, it is impossible to go ahead and set up a counter strategy and be prepared for them, which is one of the big philosophies that Sun Tzu lived by. You never want to take people in full force. You always want to take people with some sort of advantage, which is what personally I believe in as well. So we're going to look at, there's only 4 lines at the start, and then we're going to look at the last line, but we're going to read the first 4. He says, Sun Tzu said, "Raising a host of 100,000 men and marching them a great distance entails heavy loss on the people and the drain on the resources of the state. The daily expenditure will amount to 1,000 ounces of silver. There will be common at homes and abroad. The men will drop down exhausted on the highways. As many as 700,000 families will be impeded in their labor. Hostile enemies may face each other for years, striving for the victory which is to be decided in a single day. This being so, to remain ignorant of the enemy's condition is simply because one grudges to outlay 100 ounces of silver in honors and emoluments is the height of inhumanity." So what does he mean here? He means that it's gonna cost a lot to win a fight. You're gonna be, no matter how the outcome is, you're spending a lot of energy and time kind of putting this forward. So to not spend the last bit of energy and the last bit of focus and just putting that much more in to know where the enemy is, when really it's going to come down to maybe a single fight, is just the height of stupidity. It's the height of being ignorant of everything that is to be and will come. So whenever you are playing in warfare, whenever you are playing in Halo, you always want to make sure that you're spending extra time to make sure that you're aware of the enemy position. Like right here, my team is putting in a bit of extra time and focus to give callouts and to listen to each other's callouts, so that we will be prepared and be able to counteract them. And knowing that, you know, when one of us maybe has a damage boost or an OS, and knowing when it's time to push and stuff like that. It's very important to be aware of such things. Now, what this all kind of means together is that if you do put all this information together, you can form counter strategies. Like there's a lot of times on this actual map Adrift where, let's say I see a bunch of guys are in the enemy base. Well, if I know that they're not pushing sniper, then they have to be pushing up through attic. So I can go ahead and give the call out for attic ahead of time, and then we can set up for them. So it's very important for you to be aware of where the enemy's moving and set up for them far ahead of time. You always want to be one step ahead of your opponent. The person who gets the furthest ahead of their opponent will be the winner, as long as skill is not a factor in it. So it's very important to kind of see how strategy affects the game, because without this, it's basically impossible to be able to do anything with strategy. Like right here you see, even if with a lack of callouts, I am using Promethean vision. So I'm not only able to get information on where the enemy is, but I'm also going to get information on when exactly they are pushing out. If they're falling back, it highlights grenades for me, stuff like that. People think Promethean vision is very cheap, but that's just because it's a very effective armor ability, because it gives you a lot of information that allows you to get the one-up on your enemy. Like as you're going to see right here, I'm going to use Promethean vision before actually starting this engagement. And I always wait for Promethean vision to come up. And especially if I'm in the favorable position, I'm not going to push at all, unless I have that information. You always want to have something else backing up your finds so you know exactly what you want to do. Now, we're going to look at the last line here. He says, "Hence, it is only the enlightened ruler and the wise general who will use the highest intelligence of the army for purpose of spying and thereby achieve great results. Spies are the most important element of war because on them depends the army's ability to move." So again, he reiterates what I just said. He says that basically if we put the equivalent of spies to information gathered, he's saying that if we don't have any information, then it's impossible for us to move and set up strategies. We have to know that the enemy is on, red sniper or in attic in order for us to flank him and be able to set up coordinated pushes. So that's very important for the result of how the game's actually going to go. You'll notice that I'm looking around corners. I usually know where people are a lot in this game. It's because I'm not only controlling high traffic areas, but my teammates are actually telling me where they are, and I'm predicting enemy movements myself by trying to figure out if they're here and they're in this position, what would they be most likely to do? What is their strategy? And you want to get into the mindset of your enemy and figure that out. And the better you can do this, the better you can apply every other chapter. You have to be able to do this to apply every other chapter that is in this book, because without it, you're not able to effectively apply it. Now, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Please remember to comment, rate, and subscribe. And please check out the Harbingers of War site. You'll actually see the other bit of this gameplay by one of my teammates, HOW Harbinger. He posted his gameplay as well. But again, thank you guys for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe, and have a great day. ODST, out.